guys, I sure coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to chill with me, talk some Raid Shadow Legends. Listen, we've done the top 15 ranked in order from 15 to 1. Oh man, how pretentious that is, that title.
I thought it was cute.
Whatever, I'm sticking with it, man. We did it in Spirit Affinity, and a lot of you guys enjoyed it. We did it in Magic Affinity, and, well, some of you guys enjoyed it. Probably my least well-performing video the last month or two. But hey, we're continuing with the series anyway, because we only have 2 affinities left, right? We have Force and we have Void. So we're going to do Force today, and we'll do Void in about a week or so. So today, the top 15 Force Affinity champions, as said by yours truly in Raid Shadow Legends. First off, guys, I gotta share. I'm not like a big nature show dude. However, I like a little, okay, if it's really well done, it boggles my mind. You ever see like one of those nature videos and you wonder how in the heck, actually after I'm done recording this video, I'm going to YouTube search how they record some of these like newer, are they even called nature video, wildlife videos? I don't know, whether in the jungle or whatever. Like how do they get that close and see these intimate moments? Anyway, I say all that to say, have you seen Chimp Nation on Netflix? Dude, I got like surprisingly into it. And it's funny, it's about these chimpanzees in the Nagogo forest or whatever. And basically it follows 2 tribes, but they give them all names and they tell you their ages and their relationships and stuff like that. And it's funny, psychologically, when you give these wild animals, chimpanzees, names, you start to have like this weird, it's like a human, you know, psychological attachment to them when you name them, you know, as opposed to just showing random animals doing random things. It's a 4-part series and they kind of go to war with a rival tribe and it's pretty nuts, but it's a documentary. Anyway, I really enjoyed it, finished it last night. What have you guys been watching? What have you been reading? I'm on like book 6 right now of Kurt Vonnegut. I'm trying to read all his books. Don't know why, just kind of in the mood. Anyway, guys, let me go ahead and digress and get to the list here, guys. I got a lot of music I'm listening to. I have a lot that I want to share with you guys.
No thanks, I choose life.
But I'll save those for another video. All right, so number 15, we have our one and only tie on the list, okay? I just couldn't decide between these 2 champions. And it is none other than Husk. So, I mean, Husk he's a beast, dude. He's got the despair. Not only does he have one of the hardest hitting epic abilities for PvE content against mobs with a lot of HP in the game, but also a really good stun on the same ability, right? So, I mean, a 60% stun on an AoE with an enemy max HP, this retaliate crap, you can just turn it off, man. Don't even use that ability. It doesn't hit hard at all. Not interested in it. But that A2 is great. Plus, my man's got the provoke at a 40% clip on his A1. So really, really good, as well as a provoke control champion for Hydra Clan Boss. Husk is really, really good. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know, right? The next one is actually going to be on the tie. It's Xavia. Xavia or Xavia?
Xavia.
I don't know. Potato. We're seeing her used a lot more, even in hard dungeons. You look at some of the fastest teams in Ice Golem Hard, in Dragon, you'll see Xavia. Xavia. Man, I'm going to go with Xavia. I'm just going to own it, okay? Xavia.
For once in your life, you're 100% right.
A triple hitter with the poison on each hit on the A1, and AoE ×2 each hit with the poison again, and then the deadly catalyst. She's dealing damage from poisons instantly and deny revival. Very good against those minions on the Ice Golem, which is one of the reasons she's being used, the primarily reason she's being used against Ice Golem Hard, too. Get rid of him and they're never coming back, right? And deals a ton of damage. Not only that, but Calamitous Partner. Have a debuff spread of Bellinor's on the same team, and Bellinor's a lot better too, since they gave him his big buff, changes decreased defense, and his weaken to an AoE. So that was our tie on number 15. On number 14 on the list, guys, drum roll please, it is the Candyman can. It's Who Can Make a Rainbow? Wrap it in a sigh. Okay, I don't know any of the rest of the song, but I am a fan of the old Willy Wonka. Anyway, Candyman, Punish Hubris, one of the strongest A1s inside the entire game. That's right, Punish Hubris. Even if you're going against like a Warlord or Yumeko inside the arena or inside Live Arena, even worse, if you've got Candyman on your team, even if he's locked out from everything else, he can still wipe out, make mincemeat on the entire enemy team with the Punish Hubris, an extra hit if they're under any buff. Big, big, big multipliers. Same thing with Butcher's Glee, a very hard-hitting ability. And then On the Hunt is his big self-buffing ability he brings to the table as well. It makes him ideal for a go second team. You can start him off under his place a perfect veil on this champion for 1 turn each time an enemy's turn meter is filled. This buff cannot be removed. So a protected perfect veil. This guy used to suck, by the way. He was one of the worst champions in the game. Then they gave him this massive buff, and now he's one of the better nukers out there, right? He's dealing extra damage while he's under his veil. He's not targeted while he's under his veil. He can bring his increased speed, increased crit damage, increased attack to the table. Just a very, very, very good arena nuker. The reason he's number 14 on the list is because, at least in my mind, he's a little bit one-dimensional. He's like very good at what he does. He does make the list. I'm not a shot at Candyman. I'm just saying that, like, you know, he's a damage dealer. He's a very good one at that. Number 13 on the list, Mother Cybele. Mother Cybele, the Red Lady herself. The Red Lady reminds me of the Red Wedding, man. That was my favorite episode by far. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there, but from the Game of Thrones, dude, woof. I was a late viewer to Game of Thrones. I watched it like years after it was already out and done. And I remember for some weird reason, somehow, I avoided all spoilers, and I'm not going to do it to any of you guys who haven't watched either. I'll just say, it was just like, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. Anyway, Mother Cybele, an AoE decreased speed on the A1, fills the champion's turn meter. HP-based champion, you hate to see the 7 levels, but an AoE decreased speed is really good, especially in Hydra Clan Boss. She got a revive on death and increased defense. That makes her fantastic as well for Sand Devil on the A2. And then we have the Uncanny Transfer. You guys can read it. I'm not going to bore you with that. But it's not a bad little ability to have as well. And then fully heals the ally with lowest HP whenever this champion is killed. Heals all allies by 20% of their max HP and fills their turn meter 15% whenever this champion is revived. Very cool killed and revived synergy on that passive. It really does help out. Not only that, guys, speed in all battles by 24%. That's like a 10-way tie for the best in the game. And one of the fastest champions in the game at 115 speed. That's very, very, very good, man. She's a very good champion. You may know from watching the channel for any amount of time that I am higher on Mother Cybele, I will say, than most people that I talk to out there. I actually, in preparation for today's video, I went and I looked at the Aftershock tier list. I went at Hell Hades tier list, and I went on another random one that I found. I forgot the website, forgive me, just to make sure I wasn't forgetting a champion. And sadly, none of them had Mother Cybele in the top 15. On the A1, attacks all enemies, places a leech, continuous heal on a random ally for 2 turns. The cool thing about this, the A1 here, we're already talking about just the A1, right, is I have her duoing Ice Golem hard, stage 10. When you get to the Ice Golem, my whole team wipes out. It's a Seer activation team. They're all dead, right? But it's her and Walking Tombdrang. And that continuous heal is always going to go to Walking Tombdrang, right? Random ally, it's always going to go to him. So it's really nice to have on that A1. Going to increase defense, increase the duration of continuous heals, instantly activates continuous heals on a 3-turn cooldown. Then we have a cleanse and a big, big, big girl heal. 30% of this champion's max HP on that A3. We talked about this on the channel before, guys, but anytime you see the heal based on this champion's HP, it's a good thing. When we see that number over 20%, it's getting into like really big territory in terms of the heal because, again, it's predicated on her HP, which scales very well at 24k on the base. So 30% is massive. Off the top of my head, Marichka is the only champion that has a 40%. I'm sure there's others out there, maybe a few, but man, this is a big, big heal, and it's on a cleanse as well on a 3-turn cooldown. Plays a continuous heal on the ally with lowest HP at the start of every turn on top of that. Really one of the best healers out there in the game. Does she have lore?
Never, of course not.
Womp womp, she doesn't. All right, coming in at number 11. Thank God I have my cheat sheet here because I can't count, apparently. I can't count backwards. It's Staltus Dragonbane. Dude, I love this dude. I mean, he's a defense nuker who brings his own increased defense. His base defense is very high. He's fantastic in the arena, but he's really fantastic almost anywhere, right? I made a video about him recently. Look at this, by the way. Decreased crit damage on enemies who have attack higher than defense. Decreased speed for 2 turns on enemies whose attack is equal to or lower than their defense. It's a nice little add-on bonus, right? Then he has an AoE with a stun. A 65% stun on a 3-turn cooldown on the A2. It's a great ability. Decreased turn meter if they're under a debuff on the A1. And then, whenever an enemy attempts to place a weaken, decreased defense, or a poison, Remember that poison. On this champion, reflex them back on the attacker. That's bananas. Damage increased by 5% for each debuff on the target. This allows him to be, geez, for my money, he is the best DPS option in the game for Dragon Hard, because there's so many poisons constantly being thrown at you that he's constantly throwing poisons right back at the dragon. You can't touch me, man. Can't touch this. It's Staltis Dragon Vein, man. He's on a lot of the fastest teams out there in the world, and he's on my fastest team, not in the world, but he's on my main team as well. All right, number 10 is a champion that a lot of you guys think is massively power crept, but I still love this dude. It's the BEK killer. It's Bad El Khazar. An AoE with a heal on the A1, that passive that all allies inflict 20% more damage against targets under poison debuffs. It's a great passive, guys. And then Malice is a simple ability, but it's a super strong ability. You can run him in a reflex set. It's going to go right to Malice every time, or a regen set if you want to as well. But this guy's best when he can keep getting back to Malice. It's more cleanses, 2 continuous heals on everybody, and 2 poisons on all enemies for 2 turns. It's a very simple kit, but Malice truly is one of the better abilities out there for my money. Coming in at number 9, I want to say it's the only champion that I do not have on the list, and I wish I did. It's Korugar Deathbell. Korugar Deathbell, very cool champion. A lot of HP, decent amount of defense, decent amount of speed. HP-based champion. On the A1, heals his champion. On the A2, Bell's Toll. Beth is Death and Bell mixed together. There we go. Attacks all enemies, 100% chance of filling the turn meter of all allies by 30% on a 3-turn. Very good, right? And then we have a 100% chance of removing all debuffs from all allies. I'm sorry, attacks all enemies. We get the cleanse, and then we get the turn meter fill. My bad. A very, very good cleanse, though. A cleanse with a 30% turn meter fill, there's nothing like that in the game, guaranteed at least. There's some cleanses out there that give the turn meter fill based on how many debuffs you have removed. Like Mausoleum Mage has one kind of like that, right? There's a few out there, but this is on a 3-turn cooldown. Very, very good. And then we're bringing the Ally Protect and a Strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown. Big version of both. That is so much damage mitigation. The big version Strengthen is straight up 25% damage mitigation, and then 50% damage mitigation on the Ally Protect, then the Cleanse, then the Turn Meter Fill, increase the champion's resistance and defense by 10% and 20, respectively, for each Ally Protection buff on all allies. Also increases ally resistance by 15 and defense by 5% for each ally protection on all allies. If there are multiple blah, blah, blah. Dude, counterattacks whenever an ally under ally protection buff is attacked. Occurs once per enemy turn, which is exactly what we want. That means we're healing by 10% every time we counterattack, every time anybody on our team is hit while under a counterattack. Ally protect, sorry. Very, very, very cool champion. Boy, I wish I had him. It is a him, right? Yeah, I wish I had him. We have Contra the Cyclone, another champion, guys, that wasn't on a lot of the top 15 lists. But you know me, man. I'm not afraid to have my controversial opinions. And Contra the Cyclone is one of them, maybe. I think she's the best. Her and Molly Tankard and Bivalda the Thorn are the big trifecta. The best provokers out there, for my money, for Hydra Clan. There's a lot of them. She's just so good. 1542 on the base defense, very, very high. We have a chance of stealing a random buff on each hit, 60%. She steals a lot of buffs off this A1. On the A2, it's a triple hitter on a 3-turn cooldown, placing these debuffs at random. Block buffs, decrease attack, decrease speed, weaken, decrease accuracy, heal reduction. They're all freaking good. And then no escape. This is, I've said this before, but this is probably one of the most underrated passives inside all of Raid Shadow Legends. We have decrease enemies' accuracy by 10% for each debuff they're under. There's no cooldown, by the way, on this. It's just active all the time, right? So accuracy by 10 for each debuff they're under. And Hydra especially, I mean, sometimes they're under like 8 debuffs. That's 80% accuracy reduction just starting out. Tim receive 4% less damage for each debuff on the attacker. That can be, again, up to whatever, 20% damage mitigation off that, right? Heals this champion by 1250 HP each time a debuff expires on an enemy. And she's bringing like endless debuffs. She's healing herself all over the place. And then has a 75% chance of placing a provoked debuff for 1 turn on enemies under 5 or more debuffs at the start of this champion's turn. And she can place debuffs on weak hits. Whew. That is a mouthful, but it's so strong. That provoke is incredible as well. I run her in a reflex set, and I just keep hammering away with more debuffs throughout the entire battle. Block buffs, decrease attack, decrease speed, and weaken, especially those first 4, extremely valuable. And she's bringing so many of them in her kit, especially in that reflex set. I love it. No lore. What a bummer. All right, guys. Number 7 is going to be Miss Sissia Flametongue. So Sissia Flametongue, or Sissia, how some people say it, triple hitter with increasing the duration of HP burns on the A1. Let's start with the A3 because you get an extra turn, right? Or you potentially get an extra turn. 4-turn cooldown, places an HP burn on this champion for 3 turns, then attacks all enemies. 100% chance of placing an HP burn on all enemies for 3 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Grants an extra turn if HP burn is placed on all enemies. Then we come into the A2, Flame Eruption, attacks all enemies. We get a weaken. And then we get a decreased defense for 2 turns as long as 2 enemies are under HP burns. She's bringing the big version of weaken and decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, then instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on each target and decreases the duration of those HP burns by 1 turn. Of course, she's increasing them as well on the A1. Boy, what a kit. Increases the champion's speed by 3 and damage inflicted by 3% for each ally and enemy under an HP burn debuff. She's also a cardio companion champion. So, man, Sissia is so strong. She's got accuracy in all battles as well. I mean, we see her multiple Sissia builds, or teams, I should say, on the same team in Spider on these incredibly insane speed runs. She's one of the better damage dealers for Hydra clan boss as well. Just a really, really good burner and debuffer all in one kit. Number 6. I want to give a big honorable mention here to Drexstar Blood Twin. For such a long time, he was one of my favorite champions out there in the game, and there's no doubt about it. He can still have like unlimited utility, especially for a newer account or a mid-game account, because he can solo a bunch of bosses. I think the Drexstar is amazing. I'm just thinking, like, who would I take off my list to add him on, you know? Trust me, our one and only tie on the list, okay? Maybe Mother Cybele? You know, towards the end there, maybe a Husk Xavier. Either way, massive shout to Drexstar Blood Twin. I had to at least mention the dude, right? I promise that will be my only honorable mention in the video. Coming in at 6 is none other than, Nishak. Nishak Verminlord, man. Ooh, he's a good champion, guys. He is just the damage beast of Raid Shadow Legends. I love this Christmas Fusion champion. I really do, guys. Start out with Unclean Banquet. Go in there, and you're placing a bomb on each target for 2 turns. Then you get the extra turn. But wait, there's more. Bomb debuffs placed by this skill on enemies whose max HP is equal to or higher than 200,000 will deal double damage, aka bosses. Great. And then we get the extra turn. We come right into the A2, which is a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies. Decrease attack for 2 turns. Also, 100% chance of decreasing the detonation countdown of all bomb debuffs for 1 turn, and increasing the duration of all poison debuffs by 1 turn. On the A1, attack 3 times at random. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a bomb debuff for 2 turns. And again, that extra damage as well. Man, oh man, every time a bomb debuff placed by this champion detonates or is removed, places not 1 but 2 poisons that are protected on the enemy. Man, oftentimes most of his damage is just coming out of all of those insane protected poisons. And if you want to see, I mean, this guy can speedrun, he can solo, he can like really quickly destroy Bommel. I would refer you to some YST's video. He has a bunch on Nishak, just soloing or close to on Bommel. It's insane stuff. He's got an attack in all battles aura as well. He's a great champion. Coming in at number 5, the top 5 here, guys. Some of you might think I'm out of my mind for putting UDK in top 5. Others might think I'm out of my mind for not putting him number 1. It is UDK, guys.
There is nothing wrong with you.
I mean, who would have thought when he was introduced to the game that he would be this popular and this widely used? I rely on him on my mini account to solo content, essentially, right? So powerful that increases the champion's HP, defense, and speed by 10% for each dead ally on Didn't Need Him. That's a really powerful passive. It allows him to get that 40% boost if everybody else on the team is dead and he's soloing in either a toxic or a regen set. He's bringing a continuous heal. He's bringing a shield on a 3-turn cooldown. And then Too Awesome to Die makes him probably the most used champion in all of the arena. He's a hard counter to Rotos, the Lost Groom, and to so many other hard single target nukers out there in the game. Not only that, but he's just a really good tank. Slow build in the arena, in Stone Skin, a toxic build to solo content, a regen immortal build. There's so many different ways to use this champion. Has a provoke on his A1 as well. Really, really good tank. A lot of base defense, decent amount of base HP, excuse me, and the defense in all battles aura. What a champion to be a free champion, and he has his official lore in the game as well. I'm not going to sit here and spend another 20 minutes reading it to you guys, but you can check that out if you want to. I'm going to be real with you. The top 4 were incredibly hard to rank, but number 4 is Pythion. So Pythion is just insanely good. He's nice and fast, got base defense, base HP, resist in all battles by 60. He's got a 2-time hitter, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 5% of this champion's max HP after each hit. A nice little heal that based off his HP on the A1, nice to have. And then we have the cleanse on a 3-turn cooldown, the heal by 10% of their max HP. Heal is increased by 5% for of their max HP, excuse me, for each debuff removed from them. Also, on the cleanse, places a block debuff on all allies for 2 turns. We get an AoE revive on a 4-turn cooldown. Really solid there, 4, 5, 6, 7 when booked. Revives all dead allies, 50% HP, 50% turn meter strengthen on all allies, big version. And then the overlay passive, man, it's so strong. Allies receive 5% less damage from skills for each buff on them, stacks up to 25%. That truly makes this kit, it takes it from like A+ to S tier on that passive. We see a lot of teams with him and Duchess on the same team in the arena, but forget just arena, you can use this guy absolutely anywhere in the game. He's very tanky as well. Even though these base stats don't jump out the page at you, he's so tough to kill, man, in the arena, and he's one of the better Hydra Reviver supports out there in the game as well. Pythion. All right, top 3, guys. You ready? You ready? Number 3 is going to be my man, Mighty Uko. So Mighty Uko is, I mean, you can make a strong case, I think, that Mighty Uko could be number 1 Force Affinity. An AoE would decrease attack on the A1, an AoE with 2 chases at a stun in a stun set, by the way. We've had a whole video on that. Stunning information. I think that stunning news was the thumbnail. Either way, each hit has a 100% chance win boot to removing 2 random buffs from the target. So 4 buffs removed makes him amazing for Hydra as well as a buff remover, plus everything else. Plays a block buffs and a decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns and targets who have no buffs after the attack. It's an amazing ability. In a stun set, you see so much Mighty Uko in the arena. It's not even funny. The only counter to him, really, is Polymorph. And a lot of it, right? We have an AoE revive that works even if no one's revived, which is actually kind of annoying to me. But either way, he's got the revive on a 4-turn cooldown. It's not the strongest revive in the game, but they do have block damage. Increased speed on all allies as well. You can add that increased speed even if you're not reviving anybody. And then stealing a buff, 50% chance to steal a random buff from a random enemy each time a buff is placed on an enemy, right? And it is protected, right? Any stolen buffs become protected. This Totem Warden is an insanely good passive that is often overlooked. You know, at least by, I feel like with players, they just first pull Mighty Uko or whatever, and they just notice the AoEs, they notice the buff removal, the revival, but man, that Totem Warden is so good as well, especially in the arena, well, really everywhere, right? Speed in all battles by 20% as well, a great speed aura lead in Mighty Uko. Only 2 champions left, guys, only 2 champions. Number 2 is going to be Harima. You guys know how much I love Harima. She's incredible. She's got a decrease attack, decrease attack on all other enemies if we're critical on the A1. So an AoE decrease attack as long as it's critical on the A1. A triple hitter with increased defense, decreased defense on herself and the target, respectively. And then instantly activate Celestial Awe if we kill an enemy. It's just insanely good. when used in the arena especially, right? You can target like their squishiest champion. You can target like their Rotos, for example. Triple hit them from a Force Affinity nuker and then wipe out the rest of the whole crew with Celestial Awe, which is one of the hardest hitting defensive AoE nukes in the game. Attacks all enemies, place a provoke for 1 turn. This cannot be blocked or resisted if the champion is from the Demon Spawn faction on a 4-turn cooldown. Enemy ignore defense effects, not just on her, but on the whole team, are decreased by 50% when she's on your team. Champions from Demon Spawn faction cannot inflict critical hits on this champion. That means Mortem Macabre can't mess with her. Can't get a crit on her, right? And this champion cannot land weak hits on champions from the Demon Spawn faction. That means if there's a Duchess alive or whatever, if there's a Duchess with Veil on everybody else, Perfect Veil on everybody else, you're not going to be able to land a weak hit. You're going to come in there anyway and still be critting every single time if you open up with like Purgative Punishment. Man, just the enemy ignorer defense and all the damage and the instant activation, not to mention all the little things that she adds throughout her kit, make her, to me, you could arguably the best Force Affinity champion out there in the game. All right, guys, number 1. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm not trying to get cute, guys. I'm really not. Not trying to get cute by saying that Geomancer's number 1, by putting an Epic as number 1 Force Affinity. I thought long and hard about this. I thought at first I was like, maybe it's Harima, maybe it's Pythion, maybe it's Mighty Uko. I was kind of between those 4 champions when I was ranking this video, preparing this video. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? Geomancer is probably the most essential out of all those champions. Meaning that you remove Geomancer from a Nether Spider team, it's not going to work. You remove him from an Iron Twins team, it's not going to work. You remove him from just every area that he's utilized, right? Because there's nothing like this passive. When he puts out his burn, 3-turn, by the way, 3-turn burn on a 3-turn cooldown with weaken, fully depleting the target's turn meter, right? And then we're removing all buffs, then attacking them. This has a 6 multiplier on this A2, a 2.4 multiplier on an AoE on the A1 with decreased accuracy. He's doing so much other than just the passive damage. But man, that passive damage is a sight to behold. He is really, truly, in my opinion, obviously, the best Force Affinity champion out there in the game. Would he be my most wanted? No, because he's easier to get than most of the champions on this list because he's epic, right? I'd rather take a legendary if you give me the chance of getting a legendary. However, I really think that in a vacuum, in terms of his overall utility in this game, no one can stand up against or next to Geomancer. I'm putting him at number 1. You can use him in so many different areas of the game. You can use him in hard dungeons. Ice Golem, you can use him in Hydra Clan Boss, in regular Clan Boss, in Frost Spider, Nether Spider, Bommel. I could just get Iron Twins. I could keep going and going and going because of how strong this passive is. I just did an updated guide a few days ago, too, on Geomancer on the Raid Champion Guides YouTube channel, guys. Thanks for spending almost a half an hour with me today, guys. I really appreciate it. What do you think of my list? Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.